Counselor, there's a raccoon stuck in the vending machine.
That's so annoying. I wanted a snack.
Welcome to Trail Mix.
Our mini episodes from Camp Counselors Podcast.
Each week, the stories come from you, our Camp Shady Birch campers.
We want to hear your juicy gossip,
Top secret confessions,
embarrassing and scary stories.
and sprinkle in our sage counselor advice.
Trail Mix is for the campers.
And God, do we love ya.
Hey, happy campers!
Welcome back to Trail Mix.
This is our mini episode where we read listener-submitted stories brought to you by listeners just like you. Thank you.
Oh my God, the plows are going by right now.
God, it snowed like crazy last night.
It was snowing buckets here in New York, but we're warm and cozy in our cabin. We actually had a very fabulous week. I want to talk about my birthday.
Let's do it.
You made it very special. So thank you so much for such an exquisite entrance to my 30s.
You're very welcome. You're really hard to keep a secret from. So there was no like major secret planning anything because you like to be in the loop with that, which honestly, I do too. I don't like surprises.
Control freak. I actually love surprises. I just think you need to like give me a little. Like sometimes you're a little too suspicious and it's like, okay, well just if you're being weird, tell me you're working on something. Don't just like be weird.
No, but I would tell you I was working on something and then you'd be like, okay, well, like what is it?
No,
You
because I
just-
love surprises.
You like surprises, but you also love instant gratification and like just being in the loop,
It's
which is
true.
totally admirable.
You woke up at like 5:30 in the morning to blow up balloons.
So I had set an alarm for 5 and I slept through that. But 5:30, yes, I was up, boots on the ground, huffing and puffing. We got those giant balloons that we actually had for our 100th episode. I got a giant 3 and a giant 0. And blowing those up by yourself at the ass crack of dawn proved to be more difficult than I thought. It took me 40 minutes.
I know, because I've blown up balloons for like bachelorette parties and it's so exhausting, but doing it at 5:30 is a different beast.
Oh my God. And I had coffee breath. So when I popped them later, I was like, whoa, it smells like coffee. It's a
Ew.
Java balloon.
Well, I knew that you were doing that and I was wide awake because you also put the alarm in near my ear. So I was awake and I knew you were trying to set things up, but I was also like, okay, I've been just laying here in the pitch dark blackness of the room. So like, let me get up and join.
I kept checking my AirDrop to see if you were up and on your phone. And then I like,
That's sneaky and creaky.
yeah, because I was like, he's going to wake up soon. I know you.
I was
like,
up the entire time.
Oh God.
I could hear you coughing.
Then I was trying to blow up the smaller balloons and I had like 100 and I was like, I'm going to fill the entire living room. But with the cat, I was afraid she was going to pop them. So I was putting them in the little laundry room and then I hear the floor squeaking and the steps coming down the stairs. And I'm like, oh my God. And literally nothing is set up. The 30 isn't even on the wall yet. And so I'm like throwing all the balloons. They're obviously not going far because they're filled with my hot coffee breath. And I'm panicking. I'm volleying them. There's a total of 3 balloons on the floor and the 30 balloon on the kitchen island.
There was like 10 balloons on the floor and it was very special. And thank you so much. I really enjoyed my birthday.
You're welcome. It was a lovely day, wasn't it?
We had a great day. We went shopping because it was right before we were leaving for our first shows and I wanted to get some new outfits. So we took the car all the way to Long Island and this is interesting, guys. I got new concealer. Can you believe it? I've had the same travel NARS concealer for about 7 years and it finally died on me. And I know that's probably gross for you makeup enthusiasts, but I don't give a fuck. So I got new concealer and this was like kind of hard to talk about because I'm so embarrassed. So I was in Hackensack.
Oh yeah.
I think we were in Hackensack, Long Island. And we were at the Sephora in what mall is that?
I don't know.
There's a mall over there. And I wanted to get color matched for my concealer because I know that they could do a better job than I could by like sight. So I was like looking for an employee at Sephora and Sweet Bev came over and I was confused because I thought the color match I thought it was a software. I thought it was like a facial scan.
You're thinking it's going to be like Clueless with her closet?
No, I did. And I was very confused and I was also confusing Sweet Bev and I might have insulted Bev and I'm like, I can't go to bed at night because all I think about is this interaction. When Bev came over, I was like, I need help with color matching a concealer. And she was like, okay. And I asked, I said, is there someone that can do that? And because I thought it was like a specific person or a machine that I had like wait in line for. And she was like, no, I can do that for you. And then she's like, I don't have makeup on today, but I swear, like, I'm a makeup artist.
She said, I went to school for makeup. And the tone switched right there. And I knew watching that is not what you meant, because you thought that it was either a specific person.
I thought it was like an iPad scan on the face.
Yeah, you needed like an MRI or something.
And she's like, oh, why? Because I'm not wearing makeup. I don't know how I can handle your face.
I know, it did change really quickly.
I actually wanted to shoot myself in the skull. Because I didn't even know how to like articulate, because I've processed this so much that I know what's happening. But in the moment, I knew that I said something inappropriate, but I didn't mean it. And there's no way for me to get out of this. So instead, I had to overly compliment Bev on her name about 45 times. So if Bev ever hears this episode, if you ever need a bigger apology, I will just actually poison myself in front of you, if that makes you feel better, because I cannot get over this.
You did not do it on purpose, and you didn't say it with a bitchy tone, but I can understand how
There's
she thought
no
that
way
there were
she
two.
read it other than that.
There wasn't, because there were two like gays with a bunch of shopping bags, and we were like, "Are you the right person for this job?" And that's not how it came out, and that's not verbally what was said, but that is how I believe she perceived.
Of course, I'm the most defensive person ever. So if someone did that to me, oh my God, I hope that she's not losing sleep over it.
But I will say, she very quickly learns that you weren't being bitchy, that both of us are just kind of idiots when it comes to makeup, because we don't really wear makeup. Because you gave her your hands and she was doing a tester there, and she's like, oh, we can do that. But also, it's a different skin tone than under your eyes. So let's figure this out. And I think there she was like, oh, okay. He's not an asshole.
That's fine. You can say that all you want, but it doesn't.
Here.
Yeah, and there's no way to try. But she did color match the fuck out of my face. I'm not wearing it right now, but I was wearing it all torn. I felt really glam. So Bev, if you're listening, I hate myself and I love you. Other than that, it's a great birthday. I just had to get that off my chest. The rest of it I'll keep private, because some things need to be private.
Oh, X-rated.
Should we get into today's episode?
Let's get into today's episode. I have a story of a camper with a flame reigniting with a toxic man from the past.
Ugh, I have a camper whose famous guacamole recipe is her last hope to impress her mother-in-law.
And two campers, helpless, in an off-the-books excursion in the Dominican Republic sugar cane fields.
Ugh, let's get into it.
Are we qualified to be giving advice? No. Are we going to do it anyway? Absolutely. Welcome back to Dear Counselors. This is the part of the show where we give advice. Is anybody taking it? We don't know, because none of you bitches have followed up. So if you're taking our advice and things work out, follow up. If you're taking our advice and things don't work out, it ended up in the spam email.
Don't be a Bev.
Happened.
Just be kind to us.
Please spread kindness. My God. Okay. So this camper needs our help. Oh my God. Hey, happy counselors. I desperately need some sage counselor advice, because your girl has been known to make shoddy decisions when it comes to men. The story starts November 2011, when I was dating someone from my friends group. Let's call him Chad. Side note, has anyone ever met a Chad that's not a complete fuckhead? I have a cousin named Chad. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I only know one Chad, and I didn't like him. Oh my God, no. What if he listens? He doesn't listen. He wouldn't listen. He has a child now. Maybe the child listens. I don't like Chad. Chad was just annoying. Chads are annoying. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
My roommate was Chad with a double D, and I got a random text. That was the guy I got the weird text from.
Chadwick?
No, I think it was just Chad. And
with
he was
two
a twin.
Ds?
Mm-hmm. And he was a twin. Twin's name was Todd. Also
Todd.
2 Ds.
Oh my God, the double Ds for the twins. Yeah. Double D twins.
It's a Sunday. Fuck. Those are the real double D twins. Okay, anyway. Let's call this guy Chad, right? So 2011. I was new to the friend group and didn't know everyone well just yet. It didn't take too long to realize Chad had a huge drinking problem. Don't get me wrong, most of us were doing way too much drinking at this time. We were between the ages of 21 to 27. There was lots of alcohol, psychedelics, stimulants, etc. Shaking our yabos and getting freaky. She wrote that out phonetically, like freaky, freaky, freaky. But Chad had no time and place limits. Chad had his own apartment and would stumble over to mine, bang on the door to be let in at 3 a.m., knowing I had early classes the next day. My roommate and I did not appreciate this. On one such night, I told him we're done and not to come back. To retaliate, he threw my printer out of the 3rd-story window and called the cops on me.
Oh, wait, what was the call? What was the call for?
It says claiming assault for me trying to get him out of my apartment. So she's like trying to shove him out of the apartment.
Yes, get out of my apartment. You don't live here. And he threw your printer out the window?
Oh my God, not the HP inkjet.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's expensive. He then stole my phone and left it in the rain outside on his way out.
Oh, jackass.
So our camera ends up breaking things off with him. He kept getting new numbers and profiles to get in contact with me. I finally moved 2 states away that summer and lived in peace from him for 12 years. My friends have mentioned him in passing sometimes. They say he's sober now, around 7 years, I think, and I still decided to keep my distance. Fast forward, January 2025. We both
this just happened.
We both ended up at a celebration of life for our mutual friend. We didn't speak, but the next day, I got a very sincere apology, I think, a very sincere apology message on Facebook Messenger. My question is this: do I give him a second chance at a friendship, or do I leave Chad in the past? I genuinely believe that all people deserve a second chance, especially when the proof is right there that they're doing the work. But I seem to have brought out the worst in Chad, and I have worries about that. I love kicking my little feet to this podcast every week. Thank you for bringing joy. Signed, Careful Heart, Open Mind in Cabin 9.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have some thoughts.
Okay.
I like to lead my life with an open heart and forgiveness. I don't know. You're looking to rekindle a friendship, and if everybody else has remained friends with him, and this is kind of like your boundary, but you seem like you want to, or you wouldn't be writing in, right?
Okay.
I think people do change, especially when it was college and it was alcohol fueled. You could start a friendship at a very arm's length and kind of see how it goes. I wouldn't just dive right in and book a weekend in the Poconos together, but there's some options here. What do you think?
I'll agree to an extent. I think you guys were only together for 2 months. You had only known him for that short amount of time, and it's been 7 years. I'm not saying don't forgive and forget, because I believe
it's been longer than 7 years.
You're right. It's been 12 years. I'm sorry.
No,
he's been sober for 7 years around,
yes.
And that's great. That's great for him. I'm kind of putting that whole situation aside because I don't think that holds any leg here, because unless you're really looking for a friends camper, you've gone 12 years without him. Like, do you need to open up a friendship? Also, from my understanding, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, you don't even live in the same state. You live 2 states away. So besides a friendship that's like a double tap on Instagram, I'm not sure what we're looking for. I would say forgive and forget and keep it moving. That's my advice.
We just have very different opinions on friendships.
Yeah.
I am just like, friends. And you're like, you screw me over, you're done forever. It's like, has to be some sort of, like, she wouldn't be writing in if she didn't want.
Okay.
And it's a group of friends.
So maybe pick somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I think, okay, then take Zachariah's advice, but my advice, in my opinion, still stands. So give him a trial period, see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to be avoiding him like the plague.
Right.
You can be civil, and then throughout that, you can see if you want to develop more of a friendship. I'm not asking you to date the guy, but...
Right, let's steer clear of that. And also, don't let him in the same room as a printer. This episode is sponsored in part by Liquid IV. Love looks different for everyone, especially when it comes to all the ways you treat and celebrate yourself. Gift yourself the everyday indulgence of extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV, powered by Live Hydroscience. Visit liquidiv.com and fall in love with flavors like the zesty new Hydration Multiplier Sugar-Free Raspberry Lemonade, and use code CAMP to get 20% off your first order. I love Liquid IV. Zach and I are currently on tour for his live show, and they are long days and long nights, but we stay hydrated with Liquid IV. Find all your favorite Hydration Multiplier flavors on their website, from acai berry to lemon lime and pina colada, or choose from their line of sugar-free flavors like raspberry lemonade, white peach, and rainbow sherbet. Break the mold and own your ritual. Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by Live Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. We are talking 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Republic. 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. It's always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Treat yourself to extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. You deserve it. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code CAMP at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code CAMP at liquidiv.com.
Scary stories around the campfire.
Welcome back to Scary Stories Around the Campfire. This is the part of the show where we share just stories that are either really scary or like, oh my God, so embarrassing scary.
Kind of like the NARS X Sephora X Bevy.
Oh my God, that was my scary story of the week.
Yeah.
Okay, so this scary story leans more on like the oh no.
Okay.
When I read this, it reminded me, as you kind of perfectly categorized it, as like a Seinfeld episode. A story really about nothing, but everything at the same time.
You gave me the log line, but I know nothing about it.
It's so good. Okay, so it starts off, hi, cheeky camp counselors, new time listener, big time binger of your trail mixes. Full episodes too. But I am a sucker for snacks. You have all been helping me through a very depressive episode while my husband and I deal with the aftermath of being displaced by Hurricane Eileen. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, camper.
Sorry.
As I commute down I-75 to meet yet another contractor who, of course, failed to communicate they'd like to meet the day of, I owe you thanks for filling my head with nonsense and laughter instead of fear and frustration. I'm so sorry, camper. I'm glad that we can be a light in your life, but it's awful.
It's awful.
So terrible.
Sorry.
Okay. The story. Duh. One thing about me, I was never good with my boyfriend's mothers. I am a social butterfly and love making a friend everywhere I go. But somehow all those skills would leave the building when it came to a mother. Listen, I had spent big bucks on therapy now. Back to the story. In 2019, I swiped right on my then boyfriend and had that he'd be the one on the first date kind of date. I knew I'd do anything to make his mom like me. God willing, we'd make it that far. And we did. But it was not easy. The first time I met his parents for a quick meet and greet, she served me a slice of tiramisu. No offense to tiramisu lovers, it's not for me. I stomached half of it because I am a lady and have been raised never to be rude, but thanks to therapy, I also set a boundary. So I swirled the rest around my plate to make it appear as though it was my favorite. I want it to be stronger, but please keep coffee flavors out of my dessert. This is difficult because you did everything you could. You're being polite, but tiramisu isn't for everybody. And I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
It's not a crowd pleaser like vanilla cake.
In my head, I think tiramisu is for everybody, but I do get it. Some people just like aren't into like coffee flavors.
And it's like the coffeeest of coffee flavor.
And it is a mirage of textures. We've got custard. We've got soggy lady fingers.
Yeah. And then a coffee coating that's a powder.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't like, it's like a really difficult.
But what I will say is that mom was well aware that you were twirling it around the plate. Like in the back of her head, she can hold a full conversation, but still be taking notes on if you're actually eating it.
Because I've never
not.
smushed the tiramisu against the plate. I'm eating every single scrape of morsel I can. I would never waste precious tiramisu by massaging it into the side of porcelain.
My mom's like, Zach, you don't have to lick the plate. There's literally more.
Oh no, she knows I'll always go in for seconds. When his mom took the plate once I was, quotes, done, you could see the shade as she scanned what remained. So she knew. Another thing you should know is that at the time, I was fresh out of college working for the University of Notre Dame. Feel free to share the name or don't.
Oh, yeah. Fighting Illini.
And your girl was balling on that university staff allowance. Side note, I too am not Catholic. Jonathan, I'd like to think we could bond over this experience and giggle.
Yeah, I guess I know. Oh, wait, that's not Fighting Illini. That's Illinois State. That's the Fighting Irish.
You're not you looking at me as if I don't know.
Because they have the little leprechaun guy and he looks really angry.
Well, I think she's making jokes about it being Catholic and that you both worked for Catholic University. But yes, let's keep talking about the little football player. His parents were, let's say, in a different tax bracket. Good for them. I don't think that was what strained my relationship with his mother. I love a nice thing. But something about her was always just a little too serious. Like, picture a woman who would at something that didn't amuse her, like a half-eaten dessert. But I held on to false confidence, thinking maybe she would want me to love her as much as I wanted her to love me. The boyfriend and I continued to date, and I let him in on a little secret. I loved cooking. I made this man fall in love with me through food, so much that I overheard him tell his family I had made the best guacamole he'd ever tasted. A humble brag, yes, but also relevant to the story. Weeks later, I head over with him for a family dinner. Let's just say for the 9th, maybe 10th time. Okay, so she's in.
Yeah.
She's in the family. And let's round up to say I had already had 2 strikes against me for the sake of storytelling time limits. So, okay, so she's on thin ice.
Mm-hmm.
Something else happened in between. And I actually would have liked to have known because this is
we
really
need
funny.
details, please.
But I trust you. So, okay, so it's not looking great, but you're trying. I was still putting on a bit of a show, still arriving in a nice outfit, saying please, and still asking how to help, still making guacamole? ? That's right. I feel like I'm finally out of that phase with your parents. I don't have to show up with a show anymore.
No.
But for a while I had to, which is of course which everybody has to do.
I think that's different too because we see them so much less than like anybody who would live closer to their parents because our parents are states away.
Thank God. My mom's like, when am I meeting Jonathan's parents? I'm like, maybe at the wedding. We don't need to do that, Mom. My mom will embarrass me. She'll show up half drunk and say something wildly inappropriate and false.
Well, in my head too, it's kind of like if we were to get our parents to meet, not to skate off track, but it's like unless it was a wedding, it would have to be like a long weekend where everybody meets in the middle.
Absolutely not.
It should really just be like a dinner and then an out.
Exactly,
you know?
but they want to meet. No, okay, I can't. This actually, I'm gonna start being.
Oh my
paralyzed.
God, what if our parents meet on a cruise and we all go on a cruise together? That could end so terribly. Now that is a movie right there.
It will end terribly. It will end terribly. Oh wait, but we have to get back to this story. Right. Unbeknownst to me, his mother had gone to the store and bought what she thought one might need to make guacamole. She said I could prepare it as an appetizer. I thought, oh God, a test.
Okay, so Camper is not bringing.
No, she shows up and the mom has all the ingredients and she's like,
make it.
Yeah.
Make it. Name them.
Isn't this like psychotic?
This is.
No. Now picture me in a pristine, spotless kitchen, staring into a paper bag of groceries like I was a contestant on Chopped. I reached inside and pulled out the hardest, most rock-solid avocados I have ever found.
Oh, this woman knows what an avocado feels like when it's ripe, and she's setting you up for failure.
You also can never make guacamole the day you buy avocados.
No.
That's like a known thing. It's like those have to marinate on the counter in the heat. Heart rate through the roof. Sweat absolutely accumulating. I look at my boyfriend with pure horror, knowing I would have to fake it till I made it, all while wondering how to substitute avocados and guacamole. And because this was a pristine kitchen, of course, it had sleek flat cabinets with no handles. Why would I know where a cutting board was or a knife? So there I was, rummaging like a puppy, feeling invasive as I opened cabinets after cabinets, leaving smudges on everything because I didn't know which way the doors opened.
Okay, 1, boyfriend should have hooked it up. 2, mom should have, if she was going to get you the ingredients, she should have put everything out. She was really testing you. But your boyfriend, come on now.
The boyfriend finally equipped me with my needed supplies.
Thank God. Where the fuck have you been?
He was there. She was just like panicking for a minute. He probably was trying to like entertain his parents so that she could have some space. And then she's like, no, I actually need you back. But then get back in there. I don't want them in here. Like, it's just a nightmare. This is a nightmare. I attempted to slice open the first avocado. It barely cut. I reached for another, each one harder than the last. If I couldn't cut them in half and twist, maybe I could peel them? What I ended up with in a mixing bowl after way too much time had passed was 1 avocado cut into ice cube-sized chunks harder than rocks. To the side, 2 amputated avocados I've made slicing attempts on. And yes, the boyfriend was trying to help, but he also knew this battle was already lost. He begged me just to be honest with his mom, and I suppose with myself. But I couldn't. I hid the barely cracked open, cement-like avocados behind me, and I said, just a minute, every time they asked how it was going from the other room. I looked into the bag. No cilantro. Another peek. 1 small lime, also unripe. I admitted defeat. I would not be passing her test. Time passed, and his mother walked over, and I shamefully said, I don't think I can make guacamole. Confusion. No disappointment. But my anxiety had me convinced that disgust flashed across her face. I looked at my boyfriend, thinking it was nice dating this tall man. Too bad it ends here. Then he showed his mother the state of the avocados she had supplied me with. She looked at the bowl of avocado chunks and seemed to realize there would be no tableside guacamole that evening. So was the test actually a test? Was she testing to see if my boyfriend would stand up for me? Was it a test at all? Maybe I should just ask, because she's my mother-in-law now. And while I don't always feel the most confident in that relationship, we've grown a lot closer. I can now say she's a lovely lady who always tries to give me the resources to enjoy the things I love to do. Whenever I'm making guacamole and my husband and I are at the grocery store, he hands me a rock hard avocado and asks, would this work? Then we laugh. I hope you enjoy this silly story, and I hope that someday soon my husband and I can listen to your podcast in our rebuilt home. The camper is still waiting. Oh, wait. Signed, the camper is still waiting for her avocados to ripen in cabin 5. Casey.
That was so exquisitely written. That was a really enjoyable story.
Oh my God. Doesn't that feel like that could be on a TV show?
Yes. And also, I totally relate to the fact of like overthinking things, especially being put in a position where you think you're being tested, where who knows? Maybe she was really just like, I'm going to get this girl avocado stuff so she can make it.
Oh, I don't think she was sabotaging. I think this is just, like you said, like an anxiety. But it is really funny to like be trying to impress and like, getting rock hard avocados. It's just, oh my God. The comedy is written right there.
You know, in restaurants when they do the table side and it's so incredibly loud.
The volcanic ball.
Yeah. Imagine our camper like doing that and it's just rock hard and there's like pebbles flying everywhere.
Just a minute. Yoo-hoo.
I'm Stassi Schroeder, and honestly, you never know who or what you might hear on my podcast, Stassi, because, well, I'm a little cray-cray.
One of the ways you know you have hashtag grown is when you come to the realization that Carrie Bradshaw is kind of the worst person. I've had to explain to her that the fireplace grows so that Santa can fit in it. Now she's going to be like, well, there is no fireplace and we're in this hotel. And I'm going to have to explain to her, I don't know, he gets a hotel room key. Like all these things that you have to come up with. It's just kind of crazy. Should I bring a whistle to wherever I go?
Do you think that that would be the thing to break the ice?
Whistle. Listen up. Every single one of us here is feeling some level of social anxiety. So let's just get on with it, okay? Take a fucking breath. Relax.
So please do me a fave. Listen, follow, rate, and review my podcast, Stassi, wherever you get your podcasts.
I too have a scary story.
I too.
Hey, fabulous counselors.
Hey.
I have been binging. Oh,
I've been binging all night. What was the word?
Binging. But in my defense, binging and binging are spelled the same. Okay?
Yeah, if you also want to binge Netflix, you could use the server Bing.
I've been binging Netflix all day. I've been binging your podcast whenever I'm driving or cleaning, and I'm loving every single minute. Thank you so much. You always make me laugh out loud. Thank you for being so wonderful. Thank you for being so wonderful. No, I feel like we're just complimenting each other and everybody's listening. This is so weird. Okay, let's get into it. My husband and I were newly married and booked our honeymoon in the Dominican Republic.
The DR was just there.
My new mother-in-law let us use her timeshare points to book a fantastic one-bedroom suite at an all-inclusive property in Puerto Plata.
So this is a different kind of mother-in-law.
No, yeah, this is quite the opposite, you understand. I was so excited and told everyone I encountered about it. A few people told me that was the bad side, quote unquote, of the island. But I was always like, whatever, they're just jealous. And I tossed my hair back. This was my first time traveling internationally, and no one was killing my vibe. As soon as we got there, a few red flags popped up. And we quickly learned that they did things very differently from the US, but nothing was going to stop us from living our best life. We checked in and had some not so delicious food, then found our way to concierge to confirm some plans we had booked. While at concierge, she mentioned that we had a free day at the end of our trip and asked if we would like to book a horseback riding ride on the beach, followed by a sunset dinner. That sounded so romantic. We booked it for the last night of our stay. The day comes for us to get our picturesque horse ride. We were met by two people. A girl, we'll call her Sally, and a guy, we'll call him Sam.
Sally and Sam.
FYI, Sally was the only English-speaking person on the tour. After the standard hellos, they threw us in the back of a truck that had been modified to include high cage-like railings, and benches.
I can see it in my mind's eye. That's like so excursion truck.
I felt like cattle. We
Moo, bitch.
We had seen other tour trucks like this during our trip, so I went with it. We drove for a while, and we stopped on the side of a long road next to a sugarcane field. We got out of the truck, and they walked us to a cluster of trees with a bunch of strange, scary guys that had some horses tied to trees. Guys, the horses looked unwell. Oh my God, that's so sad. It's really upsetting.
I hate horse excursions on like vacations. They're always mistreated. It's sad.
I didn't want to offend the weird, scary men. I really wanted to see the beach, so I climbed on a horse. I gave him a lot of positive affirmations and gentle rubs on the neck. At that point, like, that's all you could do, Campfire. The past is the past.
Sorry, Pappy. Pappy, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Butterscotch, but pick it up. We are trailing behind, babes.
I'm like, bring Butterscotch a burger.
Seriously. We finally made our way through the sugarcane and dense trees to reach the most beautiful beach. It was sunset, and the colors of the sky lightened my mood immediately. I was ready for my romantic beach dinner.
She's tossing her hair again.
No, literally. Sally led us to what can only be called a shack. It had a few tables and chairs and a fire pit. She explains that this is where they would be preparing our dinner and where we would eat. Not very romantic, but whatever. Honestly, the romance is with the company. It's like what you bring the romance.
I know. It's just, this is like just like the worst qualities of Americans, and I equally share it. It's like if things aren't exactly the way that you've grown up with your entire life, we're so entitled and we're like, no, it's just a mess. It's a goddamn mess. But it's like we all do that, and it's not okay. But like I do find the humor in it because it's like
it is also her first time out of the country at all.
I know, but it's just like because you have these like expectations of the sandals resorts, like,
right? And you're like, okay, where's the pavement? Where's the tablecloth? Where are the cloth napkins?
And then you get on an emaciated horse to a shack that has horse flies on it, and you're like, well, this is it. But it's like clearly something's about to happen and you're writing it, and so like it's working out for us.
Yeah, so campers, everybody listening, just keep that in mind that this is our campers mindset. And if you've ever been out of the country, like remember the first time you were there as an adult. Just let's switch to that mindset, okay? Sally proceeds to tell us they're going to be making lobster, and that some of the scary men we had seen earlier were the ones who had caught it. They also had some chicken. We were thrilled. Fresh lobster. Oh my God, how amazing. Honestly, like, Sly.
She's vibing.
We walked along the beach holding hands, drawing hearts in the sand, dipping our toes in the water while they cooked us dinner. This is what honeymoons are made of. So I thought.
I know, especially when you're on your honeymoon too, you're trying to like romanticize every moment because you feel like you're supposed to.
Yeah, you're like skipping down the beach in slow-mo, like, I love you, always, forever, never. But meanwhile, there's a man with a hook hand who's dumping a lobster. That's like screaming for its life into a pot of water. And you're in like an Activia commercial. As it got later, I was like, hey, it's getting like super dark, super fast. And the tiki torches surrounding the shack was not enough light for us to see anything around our table, which was, by the way, rickety. It was then that we realized more strange, scary men had joined our romantic excursion. This is scary. Okay?
Are they crowding the table?
Yeah. They were throwing knives at trees. They were drinking beer. They were hanging out as if we were literally at someone's house.
They're like throwing knives at the tree. Well, they're like holding hands with like sunburnt skin, eating a lobster, and they're like someone's like screaming and cackling because they're drunk on like their Dominican beer. This is so funny.
It was literally they're just visiting their friends at work. Like that's all these people are doing.
Yeah, they're like, what else? We're just like mobbing, hanging out.
We're just shooting the shit and chucking the knives. There were also several large machetes staked into the sand next to us, which was a concern. Why would everyone have a machete? I tried to play it cool, but my new husband, I could tell, was also very uncomfortable, which in exchange made me uncomfortable.
And it's dark too. That makes things worse.
So he tried talking to me to distract me until we were served. The food? So good. It's like, well, there we go.
She always finds a silver lining.
You have to in these situations. We made conversation with Sally, who had just moved there from Sweden for the tour guide life in the Dominican Republic.
Fun.
She had a chaotic hippie vibe, and I will never forget her. After an hour, they asked us if we were ready to go. I definitely was. They had already taken the horses back, so we had to ride back in the truck that we got picked up in. My husband sat on the bench with the drivers on the driver's side, and I sat on the bench on the passenger side, so we could be face to face. Okay, so we're facing each other. I got it. I'm thinking like old war movies where they're sitting in the back of the truck facing each other. Got it. Sorry, that's a clarification for myself. Next thing we know, there's a very large, very strange man with a machete and a bucket. Think a bucket from Home Depot. He climbs in the back with us. Sorry? Sally announces that they're going to give him a ride because he needs one. Also, he has a absolutely massive lobster in his bucket, which is trying to crawl out the entirety of the ride. Okay, again, super uncomfortable. And I knew it was written all over my face. My husband leaned over to me and said, "Calm down. It'll be okay." Boy, was he wrong. Here's where it gets scary. As we ride slowly and silently through the pitch black sugarcane, Sally and Sam start arguing in the cab of the truck, and I can't understand what they're saying. My husband speaks a little Spanish, so I gesture to him to try to figure out what they're saying, but he can't. That's when we look over at Lobster Man, who is standing and blocking the exit of the caged area. I start to get really scared, and I'm looking at my husband while trying to silently ask what the fuck is going on. He shrugs, and he's trying his best to play it cool. We got deeper and deeper into the sugarcane, and I felt like we were going the wrong way and probably driving in circles. Now I'm terrified, and I could tell my husband was too, but we're still trying to play it cool while Lobster Man tended to his bucket and occasionally stared at us silently. My thoughts start spiraling. This is it, I thought. I looked around for signs of their murder plan. In my head, I'm thinking, Lobster Man is going to be the one to attack us. Then Sally and Sam are going to steal all of our shit. They're going to sack us. They're going to bury us. I cannot believe I'm about to die on my honeymoon. I'm going to be on Dateline, aren't I? We'll never be discovered if they kill us in these sugarcane fields. Down the spiral I went. Listen, camper, I got it. That's me.
This would make me really tense too, especially at night and they're screaming in the cab of the car at each other.
And you don't understand what they're saying. You don't know where you are.
And the lobster's still hissing.
I know. And I'm like, I didn't pay for the international plan on my phone. It's outrageous prices. Please. We slowly bumped around the back of that truck for what seems like hours, but was most likely only 30 minutes in the complete darkness of the sugarcane.
That's a long time, though.
30 minutes
That's
is
a
still
long time.
Yeah. In the complete darkness of the sugarcane while they continued to argue. Finally, we reached a regular paved road with signs of civilization. I had already mapped out a few plans during my spiral sesh of how we could make our escape at the first sign of murder. So I was locked in. About 2 minutes after we reached the road, the arguing got louder. There was a lot of pointing, and then we suddenly made a sharp turn down a residential street and they parked in front of a house. I thought, they're going to lure us into the house and they're going to kill us, and decided it was safer to not get out of the truck. Just then, Lobster Man got out, took his lobster, said goodnight to us. Sally also got out of the truck and said Lobster Man was going to walk the rest of the way since he apparently lived nearby, and informed us that we were stopped at Sam's house. Okay, why? We're supposed to be at the hotel. I wanted to ask questions, but everyone walked inside for some reason. Possibly for weapons, I thought. Okay, so now you're literally just parked outside of this random person's house. We sat at Sam's house for a while. It was only me and my husband in the back of the truck. Sally came to us and asked us for our patience while they made a repair to the truck. What? I'm sorry. It is nearing 11 p.m. at this point, and you're trying to make repairs to this truck? What is going on?
Night of the trip, too.
I wanted to be back in my luxurious hotel away from these murderers. My husband got out of the truck and asked what was going on, then left me in the truck to go inside to use their bathroom. I will never forgive him for this.
He had to poop.
He had to poop, and it's like, what are you to do?
Where's his part of the story?
That is so scary, though, because it's like, I would have held it. I would have pooped within my body. I'm sorry. Send it for a second way through the colon.
An IBS survivor would never say that because you know you can't.
Turns out Sam was not a normal or licensed driver. The actual driver was sick that day, but Sally did not want to cancel our tour and lose money, so she asked a random friend to drive. Unfortunately, Sam did not know how to drive the truck, and he had broke the clutch while driving from the beach. That's why Sally and him were arguing and slowing down. The truck belonged to Sally's boss, and they had to hurry and fix it before the boss came out and found out that they were doing a tour without the regular driver.
Oh, okay.
I'm feeling like more relieved, but also like, what are we going to do now? You know?
Yeah.
I was so emotional and physically exhausted at this point. I was still weary that they might be murderers, and they were just telling us this to calm us down while they were going inside to get the weapons. My husband asked them to fix the clutch and get us back as soon as humanly possible.
What else are they doing, buddy?
Yeah, working on it.
Yeah, like that's not really helpful at this moment. But
Yeah, why don't you leave your new wife and go piss a gun, huh? Thankfully, they did just that. We did arrive at the hotel, and Sally profusely apologized, asking not to report the issue with the concierge. Honestly, we didn't care about any of that. We were just happy to be alive.
I know. Like, does it even matter at that point? Like, whatever. Go off, Sally.
Truly. We got to our room just before midnight, and as soon as we walked in our room, I cried like crazy.
Oh.
I literally thought we were going to be murdered and thrown into the sugarcane that night. The next day, we packed up and flew back home. I was never happier to be in the US. I will never forget that day or the intense fear that ran through my body while we drove slowly through the sugarcane. Signed, the sugarcane survivor in cabin 7.
It honestly, like sometimes you worked yourself up for no reason, but in the moment it felt like a reason. And what else can you really do but just move on with your life? But that would have traumatized me as well. That seems scary.
Truly, the only silver lining I'm seeing is that it was booked through the hotel. So if anything was missing, it is traceable back to that. I don't like when people try to schedule things offshore and they haven't done it before. I know it's a lot cheaper and I know it's supporting local businesses when you're there, but some people who have never done it before that we've been on vacations with, I'm like, you're not the type, I know that you're not the type of person who should be making an off the shore boating excursion that you're gonna get murdered at.
Yeah, and to clarify, you mean like off the resort?
Yes, I'm sorry, off the resort, not through the resort. You know, just like a random. Yeah, but she
booked it through the resort, babe.
Right. No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's where the silver lining is. Have we never seen 47 Meters Down? Everybody give that movie a watch. It's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're traveling anywhere. It doesn't matter where you really are. You got to keep your wits about you. Thank God you had your husband who had a tiny, tiny bladder. But that was a real treat. Thank you for sharing that.
It was a real sweet treat because of the sugar cane.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, so that is all we've got for you, campers. If you want us to read your story, you can write us in at campcounselorspod@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, campcounselorspodcast.com. There's a little write-in tab, and you can write in, and it just might end up on the show.
Exactly right. And with that being said,
lights out, campers.